For the last 50 years, I've been in love with Land Rovers and have never driven a Jeep or even been in one. But that all changed a couple of months ago. I had an experience in a Jeep that I'll never forget. It changed me and left me wondering if I'd found my true love.
Welcome to the Overland Legend. I'm Alan. If you're a Land Rover fan, then keep watching, even though there's going to be a couple of Jeeps. And if you're a Jeep fan, then you definitely must keep watching because you're absolutely going to love it. I'm on my way to the Cars in the Park Classic Motor Show in Pretoria. And I've been wanting to attend these for a while, but I've been so busy rebuilding the Series 1 that I didn't really get a chance because I was just focused on trying to finish my vehicle. But then recently I went to the Angeles Picnic classic car event, and I had such a good time just checking the vehicles and meeting people and talking to people, and I said to myself, I must go to some more. So anyway, here I am on my way to the Cars in the Park. It's done by the Pretoria Old Motor Club, and I'm going to join the Land Rover Owners Club, so we're going out there and it's going to be nice, just look at a couple of old cars and hang around. There's a whole lot of old cars here. There's a VW, a whole lot of classic cars cruising down this road. It's really lekker. And some noisy ones as well. But being a Land Rover fan, I mean, it's no secret that the first Land Rover, or the development of the Land Rover back in 1947, was inspired by the Jeep. And actually more than that, I mean, they basically copied the Jeep for those first few prototypes, and then by the time it was launched in 1948, it had changed quite a lot and had its own character and its own identity.
So clearly the respect for Jeeps is there, because without them we may never have seen a Land Rover. Also, Jeeps to this day are some of the most capable off-roaders, and many will say they are still the most capable. But that's not what this video is about. It took a trip halfway around the world to make me realize what it is all about. It's about discovering that it's not about the vehicle that we drive. It's about our passion, our commitment, and our love for purpose-built vehicles with history, character, and adventure. But hold on a bit. Before we go there, let me show you what I saw at this year's Cars in the Park. Firstly, the Land Rover owners' turnout was one of the biggest of all the marques there that I could see that day. There was a great selection of Landies, and almost all the models were represented. There were a couple of Series 1 shorties, as well as my 107 long wheelbase. There was a couple of quite old Series 2As and some forward controls, and then lots of Defenders, including a really nice 2.8i convertible. And then this really good looking Camel Trophy vehicle from the 1992 event. And then the famous pink Landy was there. And then really interestingly, this Defender TD5 camper that was in the process of being built. A really ambitious project with a really passionate owner doing some quite interesting and innovative things. There were a variety of Discoveries and some earlier Range Rovers, and this classic 1980s Range Rover in immaculate condition. And then there was also the famous little yellow Series 1 competition vehicle showing off all its trophies, and some other Range Rover Trails vehicles that I spotted. There were a few classic Jeeps, and then there were a whole lot of really interesting and different types of modified and standard vehicles. Seeing all the different classic car marques and meeting the people got me thinking about that amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience that I had with Jeeps. Let me tell you about that experience. So earlier this year, I was lucky enough to travel on a week-long trip to Vietnam. It was an action-packed week with many amazing Vietnamese experiences. We went on a boat cruise, witnessing local fishermen at work. We enjoyed dragon dancing, swam in the South China Sea, sampled local seafood and Vietnamese cuisine. We also cycled around a rice paddy field, spent a morning on the streets of Ho Chi Minh City on Vespers, and even powered down the Saigon River in powerboats. But there was something even more exciting and way more memorable than all of that. After a delicious lunch on the Saigon River, we were going to visit the Cu Chi tunnels north of Saigon. But the surprise was that we would have to travel there in restored US Army Jeeps. What better way in the world is there to be introduced to the iconic Willys Jeep than a trip through Saigon into the Vietnamese countryside? This was going to be an experience. It was stiflingly hot, so I made sure to pick a Jeep that had a canopy. And so we landed up with this beautiful M38A1 Jeep from the early 60s. And so started a deeply immersive and reflective experience with these Jeeps and their owners, as we spent a couple of hours through the streets of Saigon and eventually into the countryside. Let me share some of that rich history with you and what I've learned about these iconic vehicles. Prior to 1940, the term Jeep had been used as a US Army slang for new recruits or vehicles. But the World War II Jeep that went into production in 1941 specifically tied this name to this light military 4x4. Initially, the Army contacted 135 companies to create working prototypes of a four-wheel drive reconnaissance car. Only 2 companies responded: the American Bantam Car Company and Willys Overland. The Army set a seemingly impossible deadline of 49 days to supply a working prototype. Willys asked for more time but was refused. American Bantam drafted the full plans for a Bantam prototype known as the BRC, or Bantam Reconnaissance Car, and submitted completed blueprints of these vehicles. The Army thought that the Bantam company lacked the production capacity to manufacture these and deliver the required numbers of vehicles. So it supplied the Bantam designs to Willys and, surprisingly to me, Ford. I have to admit that after having this 2-and-something-hour experience of driving in this classic Jeep and experiencing and understanding a bit of history that built the legacy of these iconic vehicles, I was inspired and impressed. I experienced something truly unique. It didn't matter that we were from different continents, or different countries, or even different cultures, and couldn't communicate. It didn't matter that he was a Jeep guy, and me a Landy guy. That time together, in that heat, heading out of the city and into the jungle, was special. He was proud sharing his vehicle and country, and we were having an experience of a lifetime. That experience, together with a few glances and smiles, was all the communication that was needed.
If you love classic cars and restorations, then you must watch the story about how I restored this 1955 Series 1. There's a link at the end of the video, or you can check out the playlist Restoring a Legend on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed that, then please like the video and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Bye.